And to go forward a little bit is to be authorized to be a legitimate internet pharmacy, you have to have been approved by the modified DEA registration, and then it has some other things under it that has to go along with where you have to register the location where it purchases, stores, and dispenses, and you have to comply with special website requirements. Right now, today, there's only been 10 applications that are pending with DEA to get this modified registration as of September 23rd, and not one has been approved. So, according to DEA, if they're buying off the internet, they're breaking the law. And then it also addressed some of the statutory changes with also some of the issues of going offshore. But because of this law right here, and I'm going to address it later down the road, but because of the law right here with the Ryan-Haight Act, we feel the law has been so successful, that is what's been causing some of the issues that you guys are seeing with the counterfeits, because these pharmacies that were on domestic soil wind up going to the foreign arena because they know they're not in compliance with the law, and so we pretty much pushed them all off domestic soil. And now they have no regulations, and they're sending in the counterfeits. The pain management clinics. And when DEA talks about pain management clinics, we're talking about rogue pain management clinics. We're not talking about the pain management clinics that are following acceptable medical practices. We're talking about the rogue ones. And there's 3 areas in the United States right now where this is flourishing: Florida, Houston, and Los Angeles. And I'm going to talk about a little bit of each one of those areas. Pretty much in Florida, what you're seeing is the high concentration in the Tri-County area: Miami, Dade, Palm Beach County. And pretty much what they're doing is you go to an office visit, they're dispensing on location. So you're not even have to go anywhere to get your drugs after you see the physician. They're pretty much primary cash. We'll tell you it's all cash. None of them will not accept insurance. They pretty much charge you $200 for the initial office visit. Any follow-ups, it range anywhere from $100 to $300. What we're seeing on average is about $150. Pretty much they'll give you your normal cocktail is what they're putting out: the oxycodone, the Xanax, and the Soma, and they're charging the customer, as you see, between $800 and $900. When they come back for a subsequent visit, that's when they have the certain price for the pills. Now, what I can tell you is these prices have gone up because the issue's being addressed. But the one thing that we're seeing when they get these cocktails, as you see, they're getting them in the average from 180 to 110, and you see the breakdown, 210, and you see the breakdown: 120 oxy, 60 Xanax, 30 Somas. But the surprising thing that you see is, look where all their customers are from. You know, they're coming from everywhere but Florida: Kentucky, Georgia, Maryland, Massachusetts, North and South Carolina. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I don't drive 1,200 miles to see a doctor. You know, and then another thing we're also seeing is you're starting to get the drug trafficking organizations are doing organized targeting down there, where they're taking people on these trips like a normal junket. You know, they go to homeless shelters, they go pick up people off the street, and they tell them, we want to take you on a trip down to Florida. They pay for everything, food, hotels, or whatever, and they'll go down there for 3 or 4 days and just hit all these pain clinics. And then the organizer of it will, you know, give them a certain portion of the drugs, and they keep the rest. Then they go back to wherever they are, and then they sell them on the street. These are some of the ads that in the magazines that you see down in Florida, where they're enticing people to try and get them to come. You know, on-site dispensing, you know, they accept a competitor's coupon. I don't usually take a coupon when I go to the doctor again, but, you know. Now, but here's one thing that I want to show you. And remember when we talked about DEA, we put this out as a enforcement and education so that you're educated. We have information for practitioners only that if they're ordering drugs, now remember I just told you about the rogue pain clinic issue in Florida. For 6 months, Look at what the practitioners ordered. Over 40 million dosage units in a 6-month time frame. The next closest state was Ohio with 830,000. And then you see the next state was Georgia, 675,000. As a law enforcement, this information tells me a lot, and if you guys pay attention to Georgia, you notice Georgia's number 3 on that list. Watch the next list I show you. Okay, to address this issue, obviously the state of Florida has passed a pill mill bill to address this issue, and pretty much what it's been doing, it's been saying, you know, it basically says that you now have to register as a pain clinic. You know, as of June 13th, you see they had 1,100 applicants, but look how many were approved. So, you know, you can't be a felon. Up until this law was passed, most of the owners of these pain clinics were not medical, had no medical background. Most of them were individuals that just were released from prison and everything, and they decided, you know what, it's a lot easier to own a pain clinic and sell dope than to be out doing it the regular way. Los Angeles, same thing. They're pretty much similar to what's going on down in Florida. The biggest difference there is in their cocktail, the primary drug is hydrocodone. And look at the chart. Number 1 for practitioners ordering hydrocodone, the state of California, 15 million. Guess where number 2 is? Florida. Look what number 3, Georgia. Guys, notice Georgia finished number 3 on both charts. You know why? Because they don't have a prescription drug monitoring program, and as a law enforcement guy, the next diversion problem is going to be in the state of Georgia. Houston. Pain clinics pretty much operate the same way there. The common drug in that whole combination is hydrocodone. And if you notice, if you look back at that chart, Texas was number 4. The big difference is in Texas, the practitioners there do not like dispensing on site. So to mask what they're doing, they'll partner up with a pharmacist, and they'll just send all their customers to that pharmacist. And they just passed some legislation to try and attack it also, just like Florida, to hopefully make the problem go away as well as with enforcement. And as you see, these are pretty much the states that have prescription drug monitoring programs, the states that don't. And if you notice when we look at the chart, that's where the next problem is going to be for pain clinics. Some of the emerging trends, what we're starting to see now. Traditional street drug trafficking organizations, and what I mean by that, the organizations that are selling the crack, the heroin, the meth, and everything, they're starting to realize there's a lot more profit in the pharmaceuticals, so they're moving over to the pharmaceuticals. Another thing we're starting to see is steroids being hidden in the dietary supplements, where you walk into a GNC and you buy something off the counter and it's got a controlled substance in it. Another issue that's becoming very popular is the cough syrups, the Robitussin. Kids are starting to abuse those a lot. DEA is in the process of trying to get this controlled. And like I talked to you before about the counterfeit pharmaceuticals, we're seeing this emerge because of the Ryan Haight Act. Even though DEA does not have any authority for non-controlled substances, we noticed that because of the Ryan Haight Act and the things that we're doing, it's starting to put a diversion somewhere else, and that's why we have it up there, where we know that's why it's starting to happen. And then just to address what DEA has also been doing to the public is we just had an initiative that just took place on September 25th, was our National Take Back Day, which gave everyone a chance to turn in their unneeded prescription drugs or unwanted. We had over 4,000 locations throughout the United States, 3,000 law enforcement agencies involved, and as you see, we collected over 242,000 pounds of unwanted prescription drugs, which that means that's the less that have to be out there being diverted. Sorry, I had to rush through that. I was getting a high sign in the back. Yes, sir. Could you, your name, please? How you doing?
How do you justify your assertion that there's no problem any longer on the internet for non-controlled substances? Sorry.
Can you say it again?
How do you justify the assertion that you made in the beginning of your presentation
Yes.
that there's no problem on the internet for non-controlled substances, or it is minimal?
No, I said for controlled substances. DEA does not go after non-controlled.
No, in the beginning you said not as much anymore, especially for non-controlled, for controlled substances.
Well, no, I should have said control. DEA does not monitor non-controls. Our job is strictly to go after controlled substances.
Got it.
1 second.
Oh, okay.
Nancy, got a thought?
One question, when you were talking about the reasoning of, the Ryan Haight Act is now pushing the pharmacies overseas, and that's why we're seeing more counterfeits coming in. What I've noticed is there's more counterfeits of controlled drugs. Seems to be going on now, and I think that's what you're referring to when you say
Exactly.
that. Okay.
Charlie, what do you think?
Well, I want to be a little bit negative here at all, but and I understand everything that DEA does concerning diversion, but what does DEA do concerning counterfeit drugs? I mean, what does your unit do specifically concerning the counterfeit drug problem that we're here discussing today?
As far as what we do, we belong to a lot of international organizations where we give them advice on how they should develop laws and everything, and what the issues that are going on that are affecting the United States. By DEA not having any authority over non-control, that limits us by what we can do, because like I said before, we are a law enforcement agency and our main focus is the Controlled Substance Act.